Hi friends, this is Mary from Homemaker's Haven. Today I have soup. It is chicken noodle soup boiling on the oven, and I will be making some meatloaf today for the family for our lunch. Come join me as I make it. These are all the ingredients I need to make the best meatloaf that our family really loves. All I need is a little bit of ground beef, 1 slice of bread, little bit of milk, tomato bouillon with chicken flavor, and salt. So the first thing I do is I rip this up in little pieces, rip the bread up in little pieces. Then I pour the milk, just a little bit over top of it, and I let that sit for just a few minutes. Now while I let it sit, I also like to mash it together so that there's no big chunks. So when this is all mashed up nice and good, I take my meat and I put this mixture into the meat. With a little bit of the tomato chicken bouillon. And a little bit of salt. And there's one ingredient that I forgot to mention before. It's the egg. I also add 1 egg. Now I mix it all up together really well. As you can see, I mix it up really well now. Now what I do is I transfer it to a greased pan. Now when I transfer it to the pan, I like to also make sure that I make it nice and flat. So that when it does bake, it bakes it very smoothly. Like that everything gets baked all at the same time. And now as I'm waiting for the oven to preheat, I will be peeling some potatoes. So for my family of 6, we have somewhere between 8 and 7 potatoes usually, depending on how big the potatoes are. So today it is 7 potatoes. There, now all my potatoes are peeled. I'm just gonna rinse them off. Now since the oven is done preheating at 350, I'm gonna be putting the meatloaf into the oven. It's usually in the oven for about 40 to 45 minutes. Now I finished with cleaning my potatoes. So I'm going to be cutting them in half, and then one more time. I usually make them smaller like this so that they will boil faster. Now I will add some water to my potatoes and a little bit of salt and put it on the oven. So I got my potatoes on the oven. Now I'm just turning on the oven. And I usually let it boil for around half an hour, sometimes closer to 40 minutes as well. As you can see, my soup is boiling very well. I think it will be ready soon too. Now that I have a few minutes, I would just like to add that the soup that I'm making is chicken noodle soup. I am going to be making my own noodles. So for making noodles, I use 8 eggs, 4 cups of flour. So this is my dough made with 8 eggs and my 3 to 4 cups of flour. All I need to do is knead it really well, and then I can put it in the noodle maker. For my dough, I usually divide it into a few different pieces before I run it through the flattener. There you go. Now I have these ready here to put them through the roller. I will be doing that after I'm done working on the potatoes, which are ready right now too. So it went from those really tiny little ones to these really long ones. And really, really thin. Now it's time for the noodles. And what I do is I just get them through there. And then as they come out of here, I cut them. And those are my noodles. So these are my finished noodles. As you can see, I have a small table full of noodles. For supper today, for my husband, I am going to boil them and fry them and put them in the lunch pail for him. And for me and the children, I'm going to boil them and put them in the soup. So to fry the noodles, I just put a little bit of oil in the bottom of here, and then I add the noodles. And I mostly just let them sit in the oil while it's frying. So you do have to turn it a few times, but for the most part, it gets ready from just letting it sit in the oil like this. So now I'm going to turn it over, and you can see it's a little bit hard there. And it's getting a little bit golden brown. That's what you like to see when you are frying these noodles. So now that I finished with my noodles, I would just like to add that I'm not sure if I showed you how I boiled them, but they are boiled. So now that I finished with my husband's lunch, this is his fried noodles. Delicious. I just wanted to also show you that after I was done boiling the noodles in water, so first I boil the water, then I put the noodles in with boiling water, and then when the noodles start boiling as well, because it'll start bubbling up, then I right away put it into the colander and strain it. And when it's in the strainer, I have to rinse all the noodles with cold or warm water, depending on how you want to use it or when you want to use it. If I don't plan on using it immediately, I usually use cold water because it's easier. But if it is for a meal at that very moment, and we're going to eat the noodles like that, I will rinse them with hot or warm water so that they will still have warm food. Thank you for joining me today with the food that I was making for my family. Now that I have my coffee, I'm ready to take a break and sit down and rest for a little bit. May you all feel God's blessing today.